So tumbleweed is, I don't want to say it's my favorite. There's no favorites, but this has been a consistent cheese that people love and you know, order again. We've gotten really good feedback from the restaurants, you know, country clubs, hotels, and this is our take on a really well-aged cheddar that's also mold ripened on the outside. So I think the cheeses you have is also at least 1.5 years old, and it goes well with, could go well with a Malbec, you know, a really full-bodied cab. It can handle almost anything.
So tell me more about this rind. How do you get this developed?
Right. So the rind is always a challenge. You know, the cheese is, you know, it's aged in a room with high humidity. But the longer you age a cheese, the more delicate it could become. So the rind, it just develops naturally. We do use penicillin candida. We do spray the room a bit with it, but the rest of the natural occurring microflora helps develop the color and flavor of the rind.
One of the first things that, you know, you kind of, when I saw this, and I did think of Cantal because that is such a earthy smelling cheese with that rind. One of the first, I guess, natural rind cheeses that I ever experienced was Cantal, and it was a big drum, and I remember unpacking it and setting up a fresh cut store, and I picked it up and I could smell that earthiness and how beautiful that was. And then cutting into it, you could see all of the defects of the way that the rind had dug in or had changed through here. It was the most imperfect cheese I'd ever seen, but flavor-wise, it was magnificent. So when I opened this up and I started looking at it, this is absolutely beautiful. You know, a lot of times when you got aging this much, you have the dryness closest to the rind that is unflavorful, but this has butter flavors all the way out. It's got a wonderful tanginess to it that I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting it to be a cheddar, and I wasn't expecting it to be a Cantal, but when you do talk about them being very close together, you get a lot of those characteristics. You get a little bit of that tanginess, you get the earthiness, you get the butteriness, all those flavors in there. So thinking about this, I thought that a fig chutney would be really fun. Now, I've done fig paste before. Everybody's had fig spreads and things like this, but I went with Taste Elevated, which is spicy with a little sriracha in it. So it's got a little bit of a kick to it. And I think cheddars do really well with getting something a little spicy on there. And so that's the direction that I took with that. Fig spread with some spiciness to it. And then, you know, I really wanted to add a little bit of breading or cracker to it. So I went with the Firehook Mediterranean Rosemary. So I thought fig, rosemary, and the buttery flavors of this cheese.
Mm.
Mm.
That sounds great.
So many levels of flavors. It's just really fun. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to go with a Argentine Malbec. And this is Tamari which actually means, I think, good earth, something like that, you know, good prosperous. And it's just a really fruit-forward Malbec, very, very clean. And with the rosemary, with the fig, with the cheese, with the earthiness, with all the flavors, you don't want the wine to get over and trump on everything. You want something that has some fruit to it, but you also want it really light. And this is so light. You know, I mean, people that love are looking for a table wine, and to be able to do this would work across the board. Actually, all of these, you could put this cheese board together and just do the Chianti Classico, or you could just do the Cabernet Sauvignon, or you could just do the Malbec. They work really, really well together. If you were going to pick one and say, look, I'm only going to have one wine tonight. All right.
Why do that?
Exactly. I would do the Malbec. You know, it's all fruit forward. You know, it's just really nice. It's really simple, and that. So that's kind of the direction that I went with the cheeses this time.
Well, that's great. And I certainly appreciate it. You know, this has been fun, and you know, you offered some great ideas. A couple I haven't thought about that I think in a little while we'll try. But I hope everybody out there, you know, really enjoyed this and enjoys their cheeses. And in times going forward, you're welcome to visit at our farm.